shiny Pokemon have been a huge part of the Pokemon TCG ever since Hidden Fates was released. Since then, we had the extremely hyped up Shining Fates set there in the middle of the Sword and Shield era, and now in the Scarlet and Violet era, we had Paldean Fates featuring for the first time ever shiny special illustration rares. It seems we have a new trend going forward that every generation will feature some sort of shiny set labeled something Fates. So today, let's take a look at the difference between Hidden, Shining, and Paldean Fates, the goods and the bads from each set, and which ones have the best potential for investment going forward. So to get right into it, let's take a look at the ETBs for each of the Fates related sets, starting off with the first one, Hidden Fates. Now, of course, Hidden Fates is a little more expensive. It's been out for a while. It was there right at the end of the Sun and Moon era. Beautiful ETB featuring the legendary birds, Zapdos, Articuno, Moltres. Right now, going for 175-ish USD. Not too bad. This was kind of like a pinnacle for sealed investment for a while back during COVID. Everyone wanted to crack this because it had shiny Pokemon of some fan favorites. Those full art GX shinies were amazing. Hidden Fates is great. Over the last calendar year, it hasn't really seen any movement. It's peaked at about, 180 and it's been as low as 160. It's only up like $4 from this time last year. I got back into Pokemon cards before this set came out, but I wasn't like deep into it. I didn't know what sets were out, what sets were great. I was just, hitting Walmart occasionally and, grabbing whatever Unified Minds or Team Up, whatever was out at the time. I kind of got into it like right as Unified Minds was releasing, but I didn't know this set existed until like a year later, to be honest. I've barely opened any, but they did do a small reprint here in Ontario, and I was able to get one of each of the arts for the tins, a few like repacked with, it's like a blister with 2 Hidden Fates packs, a couple of those, and 1 ETB for retail price. These were really hard to find. Like the Walmart that I got it from, they only stocked 1. I got lucky because these go for, anywhere from 200 to 250 at most LGS stores around here in Toronto. Hidden Fates, I don't see this moving too much. I don't think it's going to like shoot up, whatever, but this is a great ETB. I feel like everyone should have one in their collection because this is such an iconic set. If you have the money to spend on packs for this set and you want to open some up, I think you'll have a good time. They have some amazing artworks, which we'll get into a little later. After the success of Hidden Fates, they started teasing Shining Fates. The problem with this set, it was mass produced. On release, the ETBs were going for like 100, 150 Canadian, probably more. I remember everyone was panicking for them. People were wanting to buy them. I had lucked out and pre-ordered like a whole case of ETBs, and I had people that I knew in my circle reaching out trying to buy them from me, but I wanted to open them up myself. Should have sold them because, man, they have gone down in price drastically. They're even cheaper than what they were when I bought them at pre-order for MSRP. Somehow it's like 3 years later, but like even the ETB, look at this thing, it's got EV VMAX on it. It's just an ugly ETB. You might like it. Eevee's cool, but it's just black and brown, nothing fancy. The Hidden Fates one, it's got like silhouettes of some 151 Pokemon, some like awesome Pokemon on it. It's got the orange, yellow, and blue on the black background. It pops out really good. Beautiful ETB. Shining Fates, super ugly. The pattern is ugly. The Pokemon is ugly. The color choice is ugly. Not a nice display piece. Notice how I don't have one behind me anywhere. Somewhere locked deep in storage where I do not want to see it. These ETBs are going for $45 right now. They've seen barely any movement, bottomed out this year at about $38 and has not gone higher than like $47. I don't think this will be a set that goes up ever because, as you'll see going forward, there's only one card in this set that's over $20. But this set, it was all hype when it came out, and then they printed it to the ground. They needed to, but it's ruined all momentum. There are not as many great hits in this as well. Like Hidden Fates had a lot of those full art shiny GX cards. There was way less in Shining Fates with the Vs and the V Max. Not a lot of great Pokemon either, obviously the big one being like Ditto and Charizard. The baby shiny selection was mostly Galar Pokemon as well, and people liked Hidden Fates because of the Kanto hits. We'll see some resemblance in Paldean Fates, but Shining Fates just wasn't really it. So now going to 2024 Scarlet and Violet era, we have Scarlet Violet Paldean Fates. This set is actually really fun to open. It's got a pretty good hit rate, a lot better than these new sets like Shrouded Fable, Twilight Masquerade, but still a little tricky to get, the SIRs or, good shiny hits. Right now it's going for $43, so a little cheaper than Shining Fates, but this set's only been out for about, 8 months now? Hasn't even hit like 3/4 a year. I think it's gonna, go up eventually. It'll overtake Shining Fates for sure because it's just a way stronger set. They did a great job with the baby shiny gallery, having some Kanto Pokemon, some fan favorites like, Ditto, Snorlax, Entei, Pikachu, Raichu. In terms of baby shinies, the only good baby shiny back in Shining Fates was the Suicune. So there are a lot more in Paldean Fates. It is, a lot of them are holding good value, which is great. A big thing they did, which a lot of people liked, was the shiny SIRs. They still had the full art EX shinies, but they added the SIR cards of Gardevoir, Mew, and Charizard. Of course, you can't have a shiny set without a shiny Charizard. They also introduced illustration rare shinies. They did Palafin, Palmy, and Wugtrio. Interesting choices, but they're still there. They're very easy to pull. Like, I pulled, I think, 2 Palafins in one 3-pack blister. Like, these cards are dirt cheap. Nothing fancy there. The baby shinies are probably cooler. Another great thing they did with this set, I always keep forgetting, I'm so adjusted to the gray borders, the silver borders, but the baby shinies look so much nicer with the silver border or the gray border. Having the baby shinies with the yellow, not as nice. With the gray, it goes a long way. It's a subtle adjustment, but it's way nicer. The cards pop way better. It's just a simpler color scheme, beautiful looking cards, and I think that's helping them hold a bit more value as well. So that being said, let's kind of talk a little bit about each set. Shining Fates, I think we all know, is not a great set. It's a little bit mid. There's a great hit in that Charizard, but honestly, it just holds the value because it's Charizard. The Dittos are cool, Ditto and Ditto VMAX, but they're really cheap. The second best card in that set is the Suicune and then the Skyla, and they're both under $10. So nothing too fancy, this set's not really worth opening up. I would say if you wanted to invest right now, Shining Fates, just because it's older doesn't mean it's good. It also doesn't mean it's ever gonna gain too much of value. Personally, it's a holiday set. It's a very hyped up set. Everyone loved it on release. Well, I think a lot of people were let down. I was let down, but I kept chasing that Charizard. Still don't have it. I need to buy one and I will. But Shining Fates, I wouldn't be investing in this. I wouldn't be buying any. I don't see this ever popping off. Maybe at its 10-year anniversary, it might go for $100 a box, but there's just not enough substance, and it was printed so much that the cards are just so widely available. There isn't really a reason to be picking this up or opening it. Paldean Fates, on the other hand, I see way more potential. Even though it's printed a lot, even though the hits were a little bit easier, it's still got some huge positives that Shining Fates does not. The biggest one being the shiny special illustration rares. That Gardevoir, Mew, and Charizard are amazing. It's a shiny alternate art. We've never seen that before. This is the first set that did it, and they looked amazing. There are also way more iconic baby shinies in this set. You got Pikachu, Charmander, Snorlax. I think there's a Scizor, Scyther, Slowbro. You got cards like Sableye. There's some really good ones in this set. I think just the pool, if you were pulling a baby shiny out of random, I think there's a way better chance you're going to like the Pokemon coming from Paldean Fates than whatever Pokemon you pull from Shining Fates. There are also regular SIRs in this set. You got an Iono card that's really nice. You've got a Penny featuring an Umbreon in the foreground, which I think is a little bit of a sleeper. It's just a better set. There's way more options, way more variety than we had in Shining Fates, but that's because the Pokemon TCG has came such a long way. We didn't get alternate arts until Battle Styles, which was one set after Shining Fates. And now with illustration rares, special illustration rares, the gray borders, it's just this is a great set. I don't think I really have any complaints. I would like more variety in maybe the illustration rares. I think 3 was a good choice for special illustration rares, but I think they should have went with 5 to 10 shiny IRs in this set. It would have just given it a little more, but needless to say, I think opening Paldean Fates is going to be a good time, no matter when you open it up or no matter what you pull. Now, we can't talk about a shiny Pokemon card set without talking about Charizard. It's not a shiny set without it, after all. Hidden Fates, we had the Charizard GX. This card looking amazing. I saw a nice picture on Instagram today of a black label shiny Charizard GX. Beautiful card. Not sure the value on something like that. I'll try to find it and throw it up on the screen here. But incredible card. This card's actually down a little bit, but up over the calendar year. It was going for a high of $450, but has since backed off just a little bit, $430. Not too much to make a difference on a card that expensive, but beautiful card. I really like the bluish border they did on these full art shiny GX cards. Looks really nice. The simple white background is great. Really good card, and I think kind of one of the most iconic iconic cards from the Sun and Moon era. So yeah, sitting at 430 right now. I don't know if this one will ever drop below 400, maybe if the market like really dips, but very strong card, beautiful card. I would love it. I don't think I ever really looked at it like, damn, I need that. But lately, looking back at some of these GX cards, the full arts, I really like them. Now in Shining Fates, they didn't really have the solid white, like silvery white metallic background for the VMAXs. It was more of a rainbow with some like swirl pattern kind of thing with the texture. Doesn't look as good. I do like the white outline they did on the Pokemon itself on Charizard. Looks cool. The VMAX, I don't know. I don't love that it's a different form of Charizard. He's got the little scale print thing on his belly there. Me, I just want this card because I have like the regular Charizard VMAX and I pulled the rainbow. It's not a PSA 10 worthy card, so I'm not going to grade it, but I would love to put all three of them in a little frame. Throw it up here on the shelf somewhere. It'd be great. Honestly, I was an idiot and I probably opened 20 ETBs trying to get this thing. Never got it. Probably spent like $1,000 on Shining Fates product trying to pull it, and I never have. Pulled like multiples of every other V and VMAX. Never the Charizard. But anyways, this card is cheap. Not the cheapest it's ever been. It went for as low as $60 earlier this year. I should have picked it up. What was I thinking? In Canada here, I haven't seen too many card shops selling it below like $110, but I'm on the hunt for this. I need it still. $73.55 right now. Not that expensive still, being the biggest card in such a huge set. Kind of tricky card to pull. Not that hard. I think just for me it was difficult. But yeah, not as good as the GX card and probably not as good as the next one we're going to see. And that being said, next we've got the Charizard EX Special Illustration Rare from Paldean Fates. Beautiful card, going for $103 and has been very stagnant over the last 6 months. It peaked right away, kind of at about $160. $100 seems pretty standard for a lot of these like big hits in some of these modern sets, aside from like Greninja. It's a cool card. I don't think a lot of people like the whole like, I don't know what it is, like a glass looking Pokemon, crystallized Pokemon thing. I think I still like the one from Obsidian Flames more than this, but this is an awesome card. There's so much going on. It's just like exciting to look at. It's cool that it's dark type and it's shiny, and the shiny is like black for Charizard, so goes really good with the atmosphere of the card. I think it's a great one. $100, I think, expecting a little bit of a restock for Paldean Fates going into the end of the year. I'm not sure if Shrouded Fable's going to be everywhere. It seems like it will be, especially because the ETB is delayed, the booster bundles, all that stuff, but I think 151 and Paldean Fates are going to see a bit of a restock. This card might dip a little bit, so the time to buy it might be towards Black Friday or early 2025. I could see it dipping eventually, probably in the next 6 months below $100, but I think this will be steady. I don't think it's going to end up like the Charizard VMAX and dip so much in like a 5-year period. I could see this one being pretty steady. Beautiful card. And I mean, the Charizard kind of makes a set. It's the most important card in a shiny set after all. All right, if you haven't noticed already, this is going to be a bit of a longer video. I'm sure you know that by the timestamps below. But let's take a quick look into the top few cards of each of these sets, starting with the newest, Paldean Fates. We've got the Mew. This one has seen a little bit of movement lately. Beautiful card. I think this is a lot of people's fan favorite from this set. It spiked up to $135, dipped down to $75, and has now been like kind of ping-ponging, slowly growing up to $87. So it's gone up in the last 6 months, where Charizard has stayed like completely stagnant. Again, this is a beautiful card. I think the artwork is really cute. A lot of people are kind of into this style of art. It's going to fluctuate kind of in a $10 range for a while, I feel like. Could be great going forward. Again, I wouldn't feel like you're going to miss out on buying this for below $100. I don't see it spiking up like another $10-15 anytime soon. Eventually, I do think this will be over $100 though. And now next up, my favorite from the set is the Gardevoir. It's sitting at $46, so a lot cheaper than it was on release. It was going for about $70. But similar to the Mew, it's been ping-ponging a little bit. It hasn't really seen much growth. It's not up at all. It's actually at its all-time low right now. Will this hit like below $40? Maybe. I haven't pulled this. I didn't really open too much of this set. I've been waiting. I'm going to try to pick it up for a good price. And I think, if I can find it for a good price soon, I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm comfortable paying market price right now for this card. I feel like it's a tough pull. Beautiful card, and I think it's going to be worth it long-term. Next up, got the Baby Shiny Pikachu. This is a really hard card to pull. There are so many Baby Shinies, with the Shiny Vault being 138 cards, the biggest one to date. So with the, huge pool of Baby Shinies, pulling the Pikachu is pretty difficult. It's a lot better to just buy this card, You're going to have to open realistically a lot of packs to get this. You might get lucky like I did. I've probably pulled 6 baby shinies and I got this, but that's just Pokemon feeling bad because I didn't get the Charizard VMAX. Right now, sitting at $34. It's been at a high of about 45. It might go down, but again, this is a hard card to pull. I think even if there's like a reprint or a restock, I don't think it's really going to affect the price of this particular card. Beautiful card. The baby shinies are great. So simple. Looks really nice. You also got the Charmander at like $23, which is pretty impressive. Of course, this card spiked up to like $26 on release, but hasn't really moved much. Like I said, $23.30 right now. It's $3 down from its all-time high. Beautiful card. I think this one's a little bit more expensive because it's playable as well. But either way, great card. Pretty solid value there. You've also got Snorlax. A lot of people love this Snorlax. And this is like what I'm saying. We didn't have cool cards like this in Shining Fates. We'll get to there next. But there isn't really a lot of great stuff to choose from there. The Snorlax, it's down right now. It's at $13. Its all-time high was about 18, so it's down a little bit. Realistically, I don't see this swinging too much in either direction. I feel like it'll be steady between like 10, 15, $20, probably indefinitely. You've also got the Entei. I'm going to assume in whatever next Fates set we get, we're going to get Raikou because we have Suicune from Shining Fates, Entei from this one. It only makes sense we'll get a Raikou sooner than later. Right now, sitting at about $9, $8.75. It's only dipped from release, so $11 on release. Not super expensive, but I think this is one of the cooler ones for sure. And you've got the Iono. Special illustration rare. This was big on release, going for like $67, $70-ish. And it's like at its all-time low right now of just under $25. I think it'd be worth picking this one up. I don't really see this dipping below 20. If you want it, now's probably a good time. I'm surprised it got this cheap, but like we all know by now, there's a lot of versions of Iono out there. Pokemon has done a really good job controlling this card, especially because it's so competitive and so collectible. You kind of need it accessible to people. Printing so many versions did exactly that. Really cheap. I'm surprised this got this cheap, but might be time to pick it up if you need it for your collection or you're looking to invest in a few copies, maybe try to grade one. Now might be the time. Next up, we'll talk about the top couple cards in Shining Fates. There really isn't much to talk about with this set, unfortunately. But you got the Ditto VMAX. This guy's sitting at a whopping $4.38. If you want a cool looking blue blob, this is the card for you. Very cheap. A $5 bill can get you this awesome looking Ditto card. Tough card to pull. Worth less than a pack of cards. I think it's a beauty, honestly. I love this card. I pulled it first box of cards I opened Shining Fates release day. Beautiful. Got both of them. Got a few copies of this. Wanted a grade one, but the graded value isn't really worth much more than the grading fee, so not really worth it. From there, you got the Suicune. This is the strongest baby shiny by far, and it is $8.58. It has not seen much growth. The high of $9.50 this year, so it's down $1. This card at one point was going for like $15. Nothing too special. Nice looking card. Definitely one that's worth picking up eventually. And, like I said, it's one of the most expensive cards in the set, so not much more to say about that. And from there, Skyla, most expensive card that's not from the Shiny Vault, $7 flat up. It's dropped a lot, actually. It was going for $14 a year ago, so it's down just under 50%. We'll say 50%. It's down 50% this year. I do remember at one point it was a bit more expensive. I wanted to buy it to work on my Shining Fates master set, but I was like, you know what? Not even worth it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm not going to pull the Charizard. I don't want to deal with this set anymore. Never picked it up, but might be worth it now. $7. Great price for this card. And I don't think I mentioned the Shining Fates Shiny Vault, 122 cards, so a lot of them in there, but not a lot that's interesting to people. A lot of them are just random Pokemon from the Galar region. You got like Dubwolves and you got, Rookidees and whatever, nothing too crazy. Now, Hidden Fates, on the other hand, is a little crazy. You've got some bangers in this set, some heavy hitters. The Umbreon GX, beautiful card. Like I said, that bluish teal outline blends in amazing with the shiny Umbreon, that blue instead of yellow for the stripes. Looks really good. This card is like at a high right now. It's not at its all-time high, but it was pretty stagnant around like $110, $120 up until about 3 months ago, and it got all the way up to $175. backed off a little, 162 right now. Beautiful card. This is one I would really like to get, but a little expensive, you know. I'm kind of interested in completing a little bit of more modern stuff, collecting some of the XY stuff before I do Hidden Fates. But this is one, you know, if you're an Umbreon collector, I think you need it. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive right now because of the Moonbreon and all the other Umbreons going up, but I don't know. This card might dip down. Great card, pretty expensive. You know, this is still more expensive than the best card in Paldean Fates and Shining Fates. From there, you got Cynthia. This is a Garchomp. You know, a lot of people like Cynthia a lot. A lot of people like Garchomp a lot. So this is like kind of a heavy hitter in terms of like a combination of the two, right? It's actually down over the last year. It was going for about $95 at its high. Dipped down to 75, but has recovered back up to almost 90. Right now going for about $89. Great card, you know. I wouldn't pick it up at this price personally. I don't really collect Cynthia or Garchomp, but it's a really cool card. I think it does a great job at what it's doing. I mean, if you bought this card a while ago, it's up 15 bucks. Not bad, you know. I don't think this will dip too much. Like I said, some of these older cards are going to be relatively stagnant unless there's like a huge trend in the Pokemon market, like that kind of out of nowhere tag team alternate art boom that we had. I don't think Cynthia's going to see too much movement. Great card nonetheless. From there, Sylveon GX, just like the Umbreon, the blue on the shiny Sylveon really blends with that nice outline. Looks really good. It's up almost at a high over the last year. It was going for 76 bucks. Right now it's going for about $88, upwards of 90. Again, this is a really good one. I think if you're getting any cards from Hidden Fates, this is one of the ones you need. Next up is my favorite, the Espeon. This card is really cool. I love Espeon. Shiny Espeon is one of my favorite shinies, and Espeon is my favorite of the evolutions. Not too expensive right now. It's actually down a lot, surprisingly. Maybe this is a good one to pick up. You might be able to see a trend from Sylveon and Umbreon. It was going for $70. Right now it's going for $57. Not much movement. You know, it dipped down to like 55, went back up, dipped down a lot more to 50-ish. Hasn't really seen too much drastic movement since that initial dip. It's been pretty steady in that mid 50s, hitting about 60 bucks. I'm going to keep this one in mind. This is one that I want to pick up. Another one, similar color palette. Look at that. We got the Mewtwo GX. This one's a beauty as well. It's pretty much where it was a year ago. It's been up and down throughout the last year, but within about a $10 margin of where it is at 50 bucks. Beautiful card. I think there's better Mewtwo's out there, which is why this one hasn't really seen much movement. You know, that test tube Mewtwo is amazing. There's also like the Mewtwo and Mew GX tag team card that's really good. But yeah, another huge hit. Like, so many of these cards in the Hidden Fates Shiny Vault are really good and hold good value. Way better than Shining Fates, and better than most of what Paldean Fates has to offer. But we gotta let Paldean Fates settle a little bit. Hidden Fates had so many full art GX cards that there's just gonna be value there, whereas Paldean Fates, all the value is kind of like summed up in those 3 special illustration rares. And Hidden Fates, the smallest Shiny Vault, so it's probably a little bit easier to pull those big hits. There's not as much to kind of choose from there, especially the baby shinies. But you got a couple other good hits there too, like the Greninja, the Gardevoir. There's also a baby shiny Eevee. There's a lot to offer. Great variety, but like most of the Pokemon are fan favorites. They're not all like OG 151s, but they did a really good job at choosing Pokemon that people like. Altaria, for example. You know, like I just said, Greninja, of course Charizard, different evolutions, Mewtwo, they got Ho-Oh, Articuno, like great set. And I think if you pull any shiny, you're going to be happy with it. Next up, some great cards. If you're looking to just collect some on a budget collection time, I've got a few picks for you. So in Hidden Fates, you can pick up these baby shinies for less than $5. You can get the Zorua for $3 right now. Beautiful card. Look at this little guy. Amazing. You can get the Ralts for less than $2. I picked this one up recently. You know, the Gardevoir line's one of my favorites. Gen 3, you know, Pokemon Emerald, one of my favorite games of all time. Gen 3 is my favorite generation. Had to get the Ralts. I love that Gardevoir has had love in both, you know, Hidden Fates and Paldean Fates now. Thumbs up for that. Rockruff, $1.38. This card's so cheap. Rockruff, awesome Pokemon. I love the blue color palette they chose here. Just like the Ralts, just like the Zorua. Maybe I just like blue shiny Pokemon. Oh, you know what? I do. The next one on my list, Voltorb. Less than $2. Voltorb is amazing. They also have the Electrode GX to go with it. Had to pick that up too. Something about Voltorb and Electrode. It's just a Pokeball with eyes. And then the shiny palette, it switches from red to blue. Amazing. So simple, yet so amazing. It's actually going for about 30% less than it was a year ago, you know, and it's not $3 anymore, guys. It's $1.80. Pick it up. Now, a few of the full arts I'd recommend from Hidden Fates. You got the Altaria GX going for under $12, $11.15. Beautiful card. The gold tone really, the gold color palette really works for me, especially with that blue border. Altaria is a beaut, you know, just over $10 you can pick this card up. Would look amazing in any collection. You also have Reshiram, not an amazing shiny variant, very similar to the original, just like the collar, the jewelry basically changes from gray to gold. But again, $11.50, super cheap card, a legendary Pokemon and a shiny, might be worth it. Ho-Oh GX as well. This card has just kind of been dropping. It was going for almost $20 recently and is down to like 14 right now. Beautiful card. Ho-Oh, everyone loves Ho-Oh. Pokemon Gold, iconic game. Gen 2, there's a lot of fans out there. The outline contrasts really good with the orange from an art perspective. I think this one is really nice. Some of these shiny Pokemon, especially in Hidden Fates, are kind of subtle. Nice, just clean artwork. I think Shining Fates tried a little too hard. Paldean Fates has brought it back, but all these cards I just mentioned, less than $15. A lot of them less than $5. If you're looking for some shiny hits from Hidden Fates, there's a good place to start. Next up, let's dive into Shining Fates a little bit. You know, like I mentioned multiple times this video, there's not a lot to offer here. One that I would recommend, one that I really like, I guess. For the low, you got the Morpeko Baby Shiny for $3.25. Pretty cheap. Again, not a drastic change on the color palette. It's just kind of like doled out, but I like Morpeko. The yellow border looks good with the yellow cards for the electric type. Probably one of the better looking baby shinies in this set. Another one, very cheap. You got the Coughing at $3.80. Again, yellow border. Kind of sucks now that I'm so used to the silver border, the gray border. Nothing wrong with yellow border, but it does not look as good on these shinies. Again, not a lot to choose from in this set, but this one looks great. I like the color palette. Very nice. Next up, again, even cheaper. The Ditto V, $2. Pick up the Ditto. The Ditto and the Ditto VMAX. They're great. They're goofy. They're blue blobs. Not expensive cards, but would look cool in a binder. And next up, Lapras, an original Kanto 151 Pokemon. Color palette's not too amazing. It's just kind of like a pearlescent purpley color, but less than $2, almost $1. It's $1.39. Very cheap card. Again, you know, Shining Fates doesn't have a lot to offer. I don't think any of these cards are ever going to be worth like $10, but if you're looking to start a shiny collection, again, there's a few options for you. Now, Paldean Fates has a lot more variety to choose from, a lot more cool Pokemon, fan favorite Pokemon, I guess you could say. So I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker, but these are some of the cheaper baby shiny like budget pickups that I think look nice and aren't too expensive. Starting with the Raichu, you know, Pikachu's counterpart here, the evolution Raichu, only $7.19. You got the Oddish. There's a lot of green in this card. It looks really good without the yellow border. Pretty cool card, $5.60. Not that expensive, not the cheapest, but still great price. Nice looking card, nice and clean. Sneasel, $2.23. This is one of the cheaper ones, but the color palette of Shiny Sneasel goes hard. I love the pink and gold tone rather than the dark tones that it usually has. Beautiful card, looks great as a dark type with the black background. Great card. Sableye. Sableye has a dope shiny, gold and black. Looks really good. $2.89. Slowbro, looking at you just derping out here. Only $4. Definitely worth the pickup. And one of the coolest, in my opinion, Scizor. Love the green Scizor. Love the pose of this one. I really like the art style. Great card. $4.58. So just when those cards there, quickly, like, way more potential in the baby shinies. Like, it was hard for me to find 4 that were like worth it under $5 in Shining Fates. I mean, most of the set, probably the entire set, is under $5. But Paldean Fates looking amazing. Like, it was hard for me to narrow it down. I could have listed almost every single baby shiny as a great pickup at a great price. But now let's talk about some of the cards I see potential in. Some of these we've already talked about, but let's review a little bit on Paldean Fates and the shiny cards with some potential. Starting with Pikachu, fan favorite Pokemon. Like I said earlier, pull rates are tough in this set. With so many shiny Pokemon, so many baby shinies, it's going to be tricky to pull one particular card. You're going to have to get lucky to get the Pikachu. I feel like this one is going to be $50 at some point. Might not be in the next 6 months, might be way down the line, but I think this one has potential, and I think a PSA 10 would fetch you a nice price. I'd say keep an eye on Pikachu it might be worth it. Iono, when I kind of made this list, I was like, I don't know. But looking at the 1 year graph, I think this is a really good card to pick up. Like I said, it's down 62.5% from release day. This one's worth picking up. I don't know if it's going to go much cheaper. I don't really see this ever being a sub $20 card. It's Iono, one of the most iconic trainers from this generation. I think it's worth picking up, and I think this card's going to see some gains. Probably not a ton, but this is a good one to keep an eye on. Definitely might be a play here. I want to talk about the Gardevoir as well. Pull rates on the special illustration rares a little tricky, and you can get some that aren't shiny, right? You could get like the Iono. Gardevoir, I think, is going to go up in price eventually. Again, just like Iono, I don't know if it'll be soon. I don't know if it'll ever double in price, being worth $90, but $46 I think is worth it. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been waiting for this card to go down in price. I'm comfortable purchasing it at the price I think it is worth it. If it goes down more, that's great, but I think it will go up, and I want to pick it up before it does. Now, a big one that I think is a sleeper, the Penny. This card is $11.35. Like I mentioned briefly earlier, it features an Umbreon in the foreground. Penny's got the Eevee backpack, the Pokeball right in the center of the card. It looks really nice. I think there is potential for this card to go up. It seems like everything with an Umbreon is worth it these days. This card might be a good play. I don't know how long it's going to be at $11. It may never go up. Like I'm sure you guys know with these videos, it's speculation. Like, I don't know the future. I don't know what cards are going to be worth $100 in 5 years, but I feel like Penny is going to be worth more than $10. Right now, it's on track to hitting 10. I think this card should be over $25, and I think it will be eventually. I think it will be. I think Umbreon has potential to drag this card, pull Penny along with it, but don't spend all your money on it. Maybe buy a copy if you want it. I think there's potential. I might buy a few of these and try to get a PSA 10. My dog's nickname is also Penny, Penelope, so I like Penny as a trainer, as a card. But yeah, definitely some potential here. All right, guys, so just to recap the video, all in all, there are some great cards featuring shiny Pokemon printed in various sets. Some of them are really affordable. Shining Fates, unfortunately, is the weakest set, but to be fair, there's not a lot to offer in there, and it was printed straight to oblivion. It's also still very easy to get your hands on. I still see those Pikachu boxes restocked occasionally, but I see them. I see them in Walmarts. It's just nothing too special. Hidden Fates, on the other hand, is the best set. Hands down, it has the best full arts, really great Pokemon. Some of them are pretty expensive and have been sitting up there for a little while now. But keep your eyes on some of the singles. Cards like the Espeon that are down about 20% over the last year. There could be some good deals out there. Keep your eyes peeled. You might be able to get some beautiful shiny GX cards for a great price. Paldean Fates is new still. It's hard to determine how much will be printed of this set, but right now, sealed products are readily available and pretty affordable. I'd maybe wait a little bit on most of those shiny SIRs. Gardevoir could be worth picking up right now. All in all, they'll dip a little more, but end up being pretty steady and strong long term. I would avoid all the full art EXs, but I think a lot of the baby shinies are worth it. Great prices and great cards. And like I mentioned, the Iono and the Penny are definitely worth watching. I think both of those cards in particular have great potential going forward. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know a little longer than usual, but I thought I would just cover the whole topic right here. So let me know in the comments below, like always, let me know in the comments below. What's your favorite of the three sets? Do you like Shining Fates the most? I don't know why you would, but let me know. I didn't open much Hidden Fates, maybe 5 to 10 packs. Like I said, I didn't really pick up any of that, and when I found it for resale was worth so much that I didn't bother. I'd say it's probably the best. Paldean Fates a close second, and Shining Fates way down there in the garbage bin. But yeah guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.